funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back to my funny friends. Always a pleasure to start this show off with my voice. I'm here with just the most lovely, the kindest, sometimes the softest teddy bear there is in comedy, my co-host, Drew Harrison. Hi, Drew.
Thank you, sir. You know what I just noticed?
What?
That when you start the show, you kind of have my cadence, like the da da da.
Well, that's because I want. That's because I want to be you, Drew. I just want to be you, Drew.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Just like I mean, I assume I can run faster than you. I assume that my
Actually,
mile
I'd
time's
surprise
faster
you.
than yours.
Well, mile, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking
But
about. No,
I'm talking
short
like a
distance. Short distance. I
sprint.
bet you have me. Yeah.
So that's the thing is, I'm surprisingly like I wasn't always a big dude. I wouldn't have. I didn't get to the hefty category until like mid-20s. You know, so
Yeah.
I was able to develop those fast twitch muscles early on.
No, short sprint. I do actually. I would put my money on you, but long distance. I think I'm gonna keep going. But that's the only difference I want between us moving forward. I'm gonna grow my beard back. My hair's gonna grow back.
How long does it take you to grow a full beard?
Not long, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long. Like if I go clean skin, it might take a few weeks, but probably within a month I can grow a full beard back.
Yeah, I think that's about a good time range for me.
Yeah.
I still feel bad for my friends that do what?
I just think about like if women asked each other that question, how long does it take for your legs to grow a full goatee?
How long do you think?
For me, it'd be probably about 3 weeks. Boom.
Okay. See, we're all in the same category.
Yeah.
3 to 4 weeks. Boom.
Yeah, three to 4 weeks, and you could say that like my legs could join Pantera.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest this week, Miss Allison Summers, she is going to be touring around Chicago, Milwaukee coming up, opening for Allie Clayton, who I had the chance to work with before, and she is hilarious. And I feel like you two are going to be a fantastic dynamic duo.
I can't wait.
Yes. And so yeah, thank you so much for being here. You started off improvising, you're doing stand-up, you're killing it now. I see you all over the place. We were just talking about pre-production. You're on the road so much that I have to be like, did she move to that? Because when you're on the road, you hit like 6-7 shows in a city. Like you don't play around. You're like, I'm here for the next 4 days and I'm gonna knock this out.
Yeah. But I love Nashville. I don't ever really want to leave.
No, it was great for the traveling.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so central.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I gotta ask, were you we're starting from day one. Were you the class clown funny kid? Like what's early Allison looking like?
I was not the class clown, but in my family, I was the performer. Gotcha. So I always want to do, my dad would have his buddies over, to play music. And I'd be like, I need you guys to come upstairs and watch me reenact this song from Beauty and the Beast. And they would, so shit like that. I've always loved performing, singing. I took dance when I was little, and then I did community theater as a kid when I was 12.
Okay.
And I
remember. What was that like?
It was so fun because everyone around me was an adult.
Yeah, you don't think about the kids doing community theater.
No,
but you need parts. You have parts for kids.
Yeah. So they were adults, and so I learned very early on how to be professional and sit and get my makeup done and learn lines and also learned how to fucking chain smoke from a woman named Damaris Baltz, who I fucking loved.
Please tell me they were Virginia Slims.
They were, and she had it in, the purse, the cigarette.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, had to.
So it's like it's just 13-year-old you standing outside of a stage door with a Virginia Slim.
Absolutely.
Like 5 minutes, Miss Summers, 5 minutes.
I loved smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I did too from early age. It's the South. It's the South in us.
Oh,
yeah, because it never stuck with me. Most of my friends didn't smoke. Like it just
We
wasn't
had-
like we would dabble with cigars. Well, no, we would dabble with Black and Milds.
Oh yeah, you had to be so cool with it. You had to get the wood tip Black and Mild.
Yeah.
Put on 3-6 Mafia.
Oh,
pretend like you're like that's like me growing up in Mountain
Allison,
Dew.
I feel like we grew up the exact same, except for I did church theater instead of community theater.
Oh my God. My church was not, I grew up Catholic, so my church was not fucking.
Ooh, we had a traveling sketch team.
What?
From church?
Yeah, from church.
How have you never told me this?
Love this.
I feel like it's come up a time or two.
What kind of sketches did you do? Like, did you? I mean,
so
can
like
you imagine?
I trip out every time I hear that turn around, that Total Eclipse of the Heart song, because we had a sketch to that song. And it was like every time they said turn around, someone would turn around with a sign like temptation, like a child, like a teen pregnancy, drugs.
Get back to Jesus.
Did you wait? You traveled around? Are you?
We went to other churches and performed it. Our big finale, like, because we were like, once people saw our finale, we kind of word of mouth got around, and we did the North Carolina circuit. But our big finale, I was Jesus. And they would take me off the cross and put me in this contraption that we built. And it was on wheels and it was timed with the music. So when a big thundercloud would hit, I would pull myself and I would disappear into this thing. We'd have it mapped out to where I would go around some back door, put on a robe, and come in the front door like, "What's up?"
Oh my God.
And
this
people
is the
lost
thing
their
I've ever heard.
mind.
Oh my
and I'm
God.
like 12, 13 years old, like, what?
You're a child star. You're a child star in the making.
Really, like truly, like multifaceted. He's an actor, he's a magician, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
Like this 13-year-old can do it all.
How did you know I liked magic back then?
And you're playing the ultimate role of Jesus.
Yeah, right. Well, that was the oldest in the youth group, so they're like Jesus. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so funny, Allison, that she said 3-6 Mafia, because that was our anthems growing up as well. 3-6 Mafia and the Dipset, the Diplomats.
So Young Bleed, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but just like I still listen to it and pretend that I'm hard,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were outside of community theater with the adults smoking your Virginia Slims. Yeah. What was your favorite role during that time?
The first play that I ever did, I got the lead, and I played a young Jewish girl. It was like a knockoff Anne Frank.
Okay. Oh wow.
Remember My Name.
Oh.
And
jump straight to the big guns. Okay.
Right? No, you know what? That was just cool because it was such an interesting experience. I think my favorite role though was I played kind of a backwoodsy kid that played the violin that was not right in the head, know. But with doing that, like I got to do all these festivals back when Nashville was like super special. We would do Summer Lights Festival because Nashville used to have way more arts stuff than they do now. And so I got to do all these things as a kid that I just loved the theater. I loved it so much. So
was there a Nashville equivalent of like Shakespeare in the Park, that kind of thing?
Yes. I mean, they have that. I think they still have that now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never got into Shakespeare though. I studied it a little bit in college and I was like, this is not for me. I don't understand what this fucking play is about.
Yeah.
I did Shakespeare in high school, and that was the thing is like I could learn the lines, I could act it.
Well,
I had no idea what I was talking about.
well, that's my whole thing is why after all these years to freshen it up, why have we not translated it to like modern, like get rid of, because I don't like these fancy words, man. I don't.
Drew, I don't want
They
to.
do.
They do,
know,
and I don't want to disrespect Drew, but you're shitting on Heath Ledger right now, and
Heath
one of
Ledger.
the greatest films of all time.
which
A
was
Knight's Tale.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yeah, no, I know the adaptations and things
That's
like that,
Taming
but
of the
I'm straight
Shrew.
up, no, I'm straight up want to go watch Romeo and Juliet, and they talk like we talk nowadays. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Is
that the one with Leonardo DiCaprio? No, they didn't.
No, they did the words.
They still talk like
that one
that.
was good.
I love that
was a good
movie.
one.
We watched it not too long ago because it
The
popped in one of our
soundtrack.
heads, and it was
Yeah. The soundtrack to that movie fucks too. That's a good.
Yeah.
See, that was my bypass too. My mom wouldn't let me have like hip hop or R&B music growing up, so I would get soundtracks.
Oh.
So I had like Space Jam soundtrack, Good Burger soundtrack, like
I mean, like now that's what I call music.
Yeah,
like the original couple of those.
She bought me the first 25. I love my mom to death.
They're so good. 25. They're so good. You got to go back and check out the first like 3 or 4 albums. Like you see the playlist and you're like, this is an incredible playlist. But you just didn't think about it at the time because they were just always on the radio and stuff.
Oh man, and I loved making music is a big. Like I had a brother who was 6 years older than me, so and he was into like rock and roll and grunge, and so I was into that too because it was like different. And
do you have good radio stations that weren't country around here growing up?
92Q, which is still around. 107.5, 103 KDF was a fucking great radio station. 107 back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because you think you're just like, oh, they got to listen to nothing but country. But it's not. Like, it's the opposite.
Trouble finding a country station because I used to listen to the radio because my Camry like didn't have like it just sucked.
I just love the radio. I don't I love.
So I would listen to all the radio stations here in town, and I like always was like, there's only like 1 or 2 country stations, but I might be wrong. But like,
there's a new one. It's 106. I think it's 106.9 or 106.5. It's 90s country, and it's.
I'm okay with that. I actually watched when I was in a hotel like a few weeks ago. On CMT, they have 90s country music videos.
Ooh, nice. I love that. I grew up with that. Yeah. My grandparents would watch that in the morning. Oh yeah, terrible. The acting is so bad.
Like Faith Hill is like awkwardly.
We're just talking about
some guy who is so gay.
Faith Hill's come up in our conversation
for a couple times in the last 24 hours. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, we were talking about her last night, and like, Drew was telling the story about when she got caught on camera, like
being
when Carrie Underwood won, when just being nasty. And then like I saw an interview with her and I saw an interview with her and Tim McGraw about 1883, and Tim McGraw said something like, having to act together every single day, like, really saved the marriage, and we like got through some things we were going through, like super personal stuff. You just see her sitting there like, dude, like, we've heard telling people that we were going through a rough time. Like, it was just amazing.
Oh man.
Jeez. Okay, so, I didn't know all this.
Yeah.
They tell stuff out there.
As you're coming up in the theater, the child ranks, what came across your mind that made you want to go the comedy route?
That didn't really happen until I went to college, and I went to University of Maryland.
Now, did you act all throughout up until you went to college? Or did you take
pretty much. Yeah. I did. Okay. Yeah. So probably when I was in 11th and 12th grade, though, I was like way more into. It was small town, so I was like, I'd rather drink.
Yeah.
I'd rather socialize.
Yeah, that ruins my social activity. Yeah. Or my extracurriculars in the high school too.
Unfortunately, I had a drinking problem even when I was in high school. Yeah. And I mean, that is real. And I only cared about the social, and I was still as skinny as I am now, still as flat as I am now. And so it was, just this like skinny little girl who's like really just wants boys to like her and stuff. And that was like the most important thing. To me. So I
What was
didn't
your poison of choice back then?
you mean alcohol?
Yeah.
I would pretty much drink anything that I
Okay.
could get my hands
I
on.
mean, yeah,
Someone
that's
handed
the
you.
being the
Uh,
teenager. You're like, what do we got? I
yeah.
remember me and some buddies drank an entire. It was three of us. We drank a whole bottle of Hypnotic one night, not
Oh,
putting two and two
Hypnotic.
together that it's just a
Yeah.
mixer. So we were so mad that we spent money on it and we're not drunk at all.
Yeah. Do you remember what was the fucking cinnamon one? Not Goldschlager,
Oh, the
something ice or it
Cinnamon?
was in
Wait,
a red bottle.
not Fireball.
No, it's before
it was
Fireball.
like for some reason everyone in my hometown loved peppermint schnapps. We drank the shit out of that.
No one touched Goldschlager.
Aftershock.
Oh yeah, you put it in the freezer.
Aftershock.
You kept it in the freezer.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. But I remember seeing that. I mean, keg parties were a huge thing in Mount Juliet.
ours
Keg
was
parties.
PJ. We'd get massive coolers and pour Everclear and Kool-Aid packets and fruit, and that would be you'd
Oh,
pop.
like jungle juice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd
yeah,
have a lot of
yeah.
jungle juice.
Yeah, we
I
called
don't
it
remember
PJ.
I don't remember my friends, anyone like dialing in on a specific thing. Like if we could get a keg, we'd get a keg.
See,
And
we
like
never had access to keg. We just knew kegs weren't an option for us.
everyone had
Oh,
older
man.
brothers, and those older brothers all worked at the liquor store at the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like one of those
Yeah,
things.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Panama City, 151,
What is that?
Bacardi.
Yeah, I drank that
Oh,
one
oh,
night.
Oh,
And it had a Cabana Boy on the label, like for like a special edition one night. My buddy bought it, and being an insecure high school kid, someone picked on me about it, so I chugged the whole bottle. So that set me up for
oh my
failure
God.
for the rest of the night. Like I think I'm pretty much like somehow survived alcohol poisoning that night.
yeah. You and I do definitely sound like we had similar. Like if anybody made fun of me for
Yeah.
any reason, I once was. Went on to Europe on my senior trip, and some guy was like, American, little American girl, you sissy, whatever. And so I put a cigarette out on my arm.
Yeah,
I'm like
Jeez.
a 17-year-old girl.
I'd probably look
Like,
in the eye
just
too.
what is wrong? Yeah, just fucking insane.
People pleasers, huh?
Not
No,
even
you
people
just don't tell me I
pleasers.
can't do something. Like, don't tell
I
me
don't,
don't tell
yeah.
me
I
I'm a
know.
pansy.
I know.
I'll show you. I'll cut a finger off. I don't care.
Yeah, just
I went-
having to, just insecure, extremely
Yeah, yeah. I went to see the thing is like, so when I went to Germany when I was like 16, 17, like for like a couple weeks. And I wasn't really a drinker. Like I kind of like that's when I started like being like, oh, I'm in high school, I'm gonna try this out. But I didn't understand how like alcohol worked. So I was like, I wonder how quickly I can get drunk. And I remember drinking like a half a bottle of like what I think was their equivalent of Hypnotic or something, but like with actual like more liquor in it, and just getting violently sick and being like, okay, that's not how that's supposed to work, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like feeding me water from a hose because they didn't because we were like unsupervised. Like
Mhm.
my supervisors were 18-year-old Germans. Like
Drink.
yeah, so it was insane.
Uh,
That was
I
like my dabbling into it.
Well, Allison, you're talking about insecurities. Like mine were tied to I had that persona, like a Frank the Tank kind of thing. Like, oh, Drew's gonna outdrink everybody here and
Yeah.
be the
Wow.
life of the party still. Like I remember I grew my legend this one night. We were in college and we were partying at a friend went to NC State and we were we were playing beer pong all night and I was playing beer pong with whiskey shots. Like I'd have a little bit
Oh
of
my
whiskey in my
God.
drink instead of beer. Because I didn't
Oh my
I
God.
never was a beer drinker. I was always a liquor drinker. So I mean I'm playing like 5-6 games in and I'm blacked out. And they
Yeah.
carry
Blacked
me
out.
they carry me upstairs to go to bed. And then like 3 hours later, someone tells me that the girl I was dating at the time had locked herself in the bathroom and was unresponsive. And so I don't even remember it, but I rallied and like busted the door down. And like from then on out, they're like, okay, Drew can drink.
Old Drew stories versus who you are now are
Yeah.
like when we were in the car last night and you were like going story for story with Brandon. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that's not a
what's
good-
happening?
Yeah. But it's just where we
Yeah.
grew up, man. It's the reason we also had that conversation last night about how many people we've lost.
So Allison, you went to University of Maryland, which I actually didn't know you went to
That's awesome.
University of Maryland, to College
Uh-huh.
Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pursue anything creative there, or was that kind of just like we're partying and then I'm moving on and I'll get back into it later?
No, yeah, no, I did. So I studied theater at Maryland, and then I
Oh
got
wow.
How's
into
there? How?
uh,
I mean, that's got to be a massive
so
program.
good.
It's huge, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big program, and it was wonderful. It was
Yeah,
the first time I was actually good at school because
I heard that it's something you wanted to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was really interested in it. And I was like, wow, we get to like do plays on the regular, and I get to study
Yeah.
a script and learn about costume design and
Yeah,
things that I never really knew about. So I
Right.
had really good teachers there who were very encouraging. And so the theater program there was great. And I met, like, I had a class with a girl who became my friend, and she was like, "You're really funny. You should audition for this sketch comedy group that I'm in called SketchUp." And so I didn't really,
sketch up.
yeah, I didn't ever know that like I was funny, but I auditioned, and I remember being in the audition and they just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I was like, I'm funny. I didn't know I was funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's pretty
then
great.
so I did sketch comedy, which is like that truly also my dream as a child. The dream was to be on In Living Color. Like
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
is all
Yeah,
I
That's so
wanted as a
okay.
yeah.
kid.
I
I
wanted to be on
loved
all
Jim
that
Carrey.
so
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah.
I loved Jim Carrey. I loved David Allen Greer, even though he's really not the funny one
Yeah.
on that show. But like I watched that show religiously with my parents, and so my dream was to be on that show.
Yeah,
And so then I was like, oh my God, I love sketch comedy. I love
See, that
writing with people.
yeah. That's the thing with sketches, like it's so much fun and it's just something that I've never put an effort into. But when I do a sketch or I'm asked to do
yeah.
a sketch, it's my favorite thing to do.
It's so
I love it.
rewarding when you start seeing like, because I even the bad comments, like the
Yeah,
blind
yeah.
sketch I did with Zach Townsend and Paid Vacation, because so many people were mad at me for that sketch, and I loved
But
every.
it's so funny. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
It's
I
so
agree.
funny to do as a group.
Yeah,
The collaboration
we
is.
Yeah.
just shot one with Paid Vacation.
Oh, we did
Yeah,
yesterday,
and it
didn't
was
we?
yeah, and it was a
Oh yeah.
blast. It was a
Yeah.
Don't give
blast.
anything away because I don't want
No,
to ruin it.
it's a great.
Yeah.
It's a it. He was
It's a good
explaining
one.
it, and we all were like,
What?
okay, but then we
Yeah.
shot it, and we're like, oh, this is hilarious.
It's gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
so fucking funny.
All right, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
I'll look out for it.
But I agree with you. It's like when a sketch goes well and people respond to it, there's nothing better.
Mm-mm.
Like the I just went and saw the Please Don't Destroy guys
Yeah,
from SNL. They just came through and did T-Pack.
they're
And
funny.
like, yeah, and like I found him on TikTok and I used to play basketball with Ben. So that's the only like I didn't know that they even had a sketch group because I didn't know him that well. It wasn't until like quarantine in 2020 that I started following them and I was like, God, these guys are hilarious. And I went and saw the live show and it was oh God, I didn't know what it was gonna be like live,
Mhm.
because they don't do that. They do it scripted. And it was amazing. It was so much fun to watch. And like
Yeah.
watching them like actually do the sketches was it translated perfectly. Like that was the one
Yeah.
thing I didn't think was gonna happen and it did.
Do
Yeah,
you watch I Think You Should Leave?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
That's one of those. I also think like again, I don't know too much about sketch, but from what I've heard is that like it kind of breaks the format. Like there's supposed to be like a certain format to
I'm
sketch,
sure
and they
it's like
kind of
everything
break the
creative
rules
wise,
on it.
like
Yeah.
you're supposed to break
Yeah.
the rules.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Astronomy Club had only had one season. If you get the chance to watch it on Netflix, that's one of my most favorite sketch
It's
shows.
called
Like
the
the
Astronomy Club.
Astronomy Club.
Okay, I've never even heard of it.
They,
I'll check it out.
I don't know if it's still on there, but one of my most favorite sketches is a gingerbread. It's the gingerbread one,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I love them. But I also am like, is sketch dying? Like, is it a
Yeah.
dying sort of?
I feel like it has it up and because one of my
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
introductions to comedy was Mr. Show.
No.
I really loved Mr. Show because I loved, and it's kind of how I tried to write comedy when I first got into it. Was I loved how they ended where they started.
Mhm.
So like I
Oh,
always
okay.
just
Yeah.
appreciated, and I didn't even know it was a callback
It's
at
an
that
improv
point, but I
thing.
always
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're like I guess I don't think sketch is dying. I think it's like kind of like Drew says, like there are the ebbs and flows. Like stand up has the thing, same thing. Like stand up's up here right now, but we could all wake up tomorrow and it's back down in the gutter. You
I mean,
know,
it's kind of is on
Yeah.
a little
it's kind of on a
downfall
little
from
bit of
it.
a dip. But
Yeah,
like yeah, because I
because
think
no one's
about like
getting
Amy
paid, no
Sedaris
one's
is
getting handed out those Netflix checks anymore.
anymore. Yeah, but like a lot of like if you watched Amy Sedaris' sketch show, like the more recent one.
Her sketch show?
Yeah, it's what's it, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Someone showed it to me like kind of like a late night, like we're just hanging out and like, what do we do now? And just we watched Amy Sedaris, and
I love her.
it's incredibly funny, and no one's talking about it. I mean, like I
She's
couldn't even remember
great.
the name of the show. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Right.
Yeah, let me know because I love her.
yeah.
I love Amy Steers. She's a fucking genius. Like I love
Oh,
her
she's so good.
career. She's
Yeah,
she's odd and she always has these weird roles, like just kind of not even co-star roles, but you'll be like, that's fucking Amy Sedaris. Like
yeah.
yeah.
Well, because she can contort her face so
I
well.
love I love selling things with facial expressions, and I
Yeah.
Like
respect
well
people that
she
can
because
do
she's
it.
a beautiful woman and she can contort her face to look so different, you know, and it's incredible these characters that she does because she can just control. It's like Jim Carrey, you know how Jim Carrey can do that, and it's just like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
well, speaking of characters, did that help you going into the sketch group? Is the fact that you already had,
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah,
character work under your belt?
Yeah. Yeah. That's always been something I've been very good at is doing characters and doing voices and being able to sort of change. And
Yeah.
yeah.
the odd thing is there was an improv group at Maryland too. I think that they were called like Einstein Simplified. I don't know if they're still
That's pretty
around.
good.
SketchUp's still around there. Arf, arf, arf. So,
Wow.
but we would make fun of the improvisers.
Look at you.
Well, but that's what everyone
But
does.
see, you knew you
Yeah,
were a stand up early
those
on before you were a stand up.
fucking nerds. And
Yeah,
then,
it's like yeah,
and
it's like that
then,
meme of like the hands. It's like stand up sketch making fun of improv.
Yeah.
yeah. So I was making fun of improvisers, and little did I know that that was going to like take over my life for the next 10
That's how
years.
it goes.
So, yeah.
So what got you in that first improv scenario?
One of the guys came back to one of our sketch shows and he had moved to Chicago and I was like, I'm moving to Los Angeles as soon as I graduate. And he said, you should do the Second City. You'll love it. It's improv. I'm doing it in Chicago and you should do it. And I didn't, I was just moving to Los Angeles to be an actress. Like I was hoping to move to Los Angeles and direct music videos. That's
Oh,
really
nice.
was
Always
something that I
wanted to
wanted
shoot
to
music
do.
videos.
Yeah, yeah. That's like initially I was like, I'll be an actor and like shoot music videos, not knowing just with a theater degree, they don't fucking teach you how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't even know how to. Here's the thing with a theater degree, they don't even teach you how to make a fucking acting resume.
Oh,
See,
As much
it's
as
what's
I
so funny.
appreciate my
Yeah,
degree from
yeah,
Maryland, but it's like these tools, there's no real classes,
yeah.
no on-camera training or anything like that. So
yeah.
it's different, but um, so 3 weeks after living in Los Angeles, I joined the second school. I auditioned, I took like an immersion, 1 week immersion class with the Second City. I was made for this. I love this. I love this. I loved my group, everybody that I had met. Like we were immediately friends. Anybody who's taken an improv class knows that that just like really happens.
Yeah, it does.
And I was like, I have to do this. So I auditioned and I got into the conservatory, which was this long program. And then I just began to study comedy and do comedy. And
That's
it was
awesome.
so great.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that
so
sounds
if you're
awesome.
gonna jump into it, Second City, Los
It's not a
Angeles. I
bad, yeah,
mean,
not a bad school to jump into.
Yeah.
way to aim low there, Allison. Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that and then it's very incestuous, all the theaters. That was back during the time in Los Angeles, I think when improv was really doing its thing. There was, UCB. Yeah, so I took classes at UCB and Iowa West was there, is no
oh
longer
well, okay.
there. So yeah,
Awesome.
it was such a great time because what I was learning was I was learning how to improvise, but I was also learning improv to sketch. So Second City's way of training is you improvise and then you analyze the scene and talk about like what could we do, and then you do it over. And you do it over in this way that you're like, now it's funnier because you've added these elements to it.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Yeah.
you switch the ending. And so that was so fun.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. Like you get a run, like almost a rough draft, and then you're like, let's make it funnier.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're writing
that's
on
awesome.
your
Yeah.
feet. Yeah.
I've
And so
always
were
loved
you?
like when you hear a show
Sorry.
like a show's like, yeah, we improvised that scene and then we went back and like changed some things. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let it
Yeah.
happen naturally and flow or like organically and then make it funnier.
Yeah.
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 And so, and were you also going on like auditions and stuff at the time? Like, or were you just like, I'm going all in on sketch and improv?
No, so I looked for an agent for a long time. Again, that's the thing. I moved to Los Angeles not having any friends and not having
Yeah.
any connections, not knowing what the fuck I was doing. I was 21, maybe
Yeah.
22.
It's a young time
Yeah.
to be in LA.
So I didn't know anybody, didn't know what I was doing. And so I wasn't doing the actual thing that I wanted. I was, it just so happened that I was now doing comedy every night. And it was like in six
Yeah.
different improv groups at one time, then going and getting fucked up and going and seeing comedy shows. It was like truly just like living in a comedy life, not
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a stand up, but as an improviser, where it's just like, you go do shows, get paid nothing. There's three people in the audience. You love it. And then you go get fucked up and watch your friends in another show. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
and just being in Los Angeles was crazy.
I can
That
imagine.
age, and that was when I interned at 21 in LA. And those 3 months there, like it is such a wild time to be in LA at that specific age because it's like you feel so important and so insignificant all at the same time. Where it's like you have
Yeah.
one night, you all go to the bar and you're hanging out and like, you're like people are talking to you and like everyone's like vibing. You're like, this is awesome. And then like the next night you go out and like you come up to a person and they're like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm an intern. And they just like, oh, never mind. They walk away from you and you're like, what? But I was awesome last night, and it's such a wild mind fuck,
Yeah.
really. But
Yeah.
it was a great
Y'all
experience because it
both
really
turned
does like,
21 in LA. That's crazy.
well, I was 21, then went to LA like 2 weeks later. But
Okay.
yeah,
I mean,
about
yeah,
the
close
same.
enough.
But it is like it's a great crash course into the industry of just like that's how it is. Some days you wake up, you feel like you're the man, and the next day you wake up and you're like, I'm quitting, I'm done.
I never felt like I don't know what I felt like. I was working three jobs,
Oh my
working
God.
retail,
Okay.
a retail job. I was a personal assistant and I worked at Starbucks. And
How did you
That's
do all that?
insane.
I mean, when you're 22, you can do all that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, you do have the
Yeah,
energy, don't you? Yeah.
yeah,
I did do crazy stuff. I did.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, it
Like that,
was,
but it's just my 38-year-old brain just like, wait, what? You did what?
Like I was tired hearing you say the first two jobs.
Yeah.
And then you
yeah,
added Starbucks to it. And I was like,
It's like,
I'm
oh,
gonna take a nap now.
it was, it was just I can't even like, I just did so much while I was there though, and made really good friends and
Yeah.
learned
how
a
long
lot.
were
I
you
mean,
there?
I was there for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
But it seems like so far away because it kind of is. I mean, I lived
Yeah.
there a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's wild to think about now that it feels like another life,
Oh, I
truly.
Right.
hear you. No, I hear
Yeah,
you.
I get that. I do get that. So for 6 years, was that just your life? Was that what you were doing for all 6 years? And then you were like, I'm going back to Nashville, or what happened in that time period?
During that time period, I ended up getting a very big promotion with my job.
Okay.
And uh, I was still like in my early 20s, and it was the most money I'd ever been offered in my life. And so, I moved to Atlanta
Oh, okay.
for
Oh,
the
wow.
job.
Okay.
And I had, like I have had a drinking problem during all this time and knew, like I always knew, and had been trying for years in Los Angeles to kind of get help and just wasn't able to do that. And so
Yeah.
I was like, well, if I move to Atlanta, it'll be better, like
Right.
things will be better. Like that was I was always like, well, if I move, then I won't drink so much and like I'll have this job and yada yada yada. And so I
Right.
was like, well, I'll just live in Atlanta. I think I could probably do acting stuff there, but it was just an opportunity that I couldn't pass up because I was
Yeah.
never seen that much.
Right.
Money.
I
Yeah.
just burped. Weird.
Money makes you burp.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm gonna move to Atlanta. And I moved to Atlanta. And then I worked like 6 days a week at this corporate job. And I did, there were a lot of things I learned from that job, like very, very corporate job. And then I had to go to rehab.
Oh, wow.
And so I lived in Atlanta for 2 years. And it just like my drinking, it didn't really amp up. It just was the same. And it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it
It
was just
wasn't getting better.
constantly, it wasn't getting better. I was physically ill. Like
Yeah.
I was like thinner than I am now. I was losing my hair, waking up with bruises, like
Oh my
not
gosh.
knowing,
Just not taking care of yourself.
no, not knowing where my
Yeah. Yeah.
car was. That was the thing that happened constantly. It'd be Monday morning. It would be 9:30. I was supposed to be at work at 9, and I would not know where the fuck my car was.
Oh no.
Wild.
So and that happened multiple times.
Yeah.
So I was just a mess. And so I needed to go to rehab. And so I went to Cumberland Heights in Nashville because I'm from here. So
Right.
um I went to Cumberland Heights and I did outpatient, and I lived with my parents for a month. And then I was like, I'm not ready to go back.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it. So I stayed another month and did outpatient. And at that point, my job was changing. My company had been bought by another company, like a giant company. And when I came back to work, like the first day, they were like, we would like for you to move to Seattle and do
Oh my
this
God.
in there. And I was like, I am gonna move to Nashville. It was like I was like, if I move to Seattle, I'm never gonna do the thing that I want to do, which is I
Right.
always have wanted to act and be
Yeah.
an actress. And I was like, the corporate thing is not, I'm very good at it, but it's
Yeah.
not who I am. And so I was like, I can't. So then I moved to Nashville, just like really trusting that it was going to be okay. And at the time, there was fucking nothing comedy wise
Yeah. I was going to say,
here.
like, how was it
Yeah.
Nashville at that point?
Yeah. Because
Yeah. So,
do you mind saying what year it would have been when you came to start jumping on the comedy here?
yeah. So, well, when I moved to Nashville, or sorry, the sun keeps getting in my eyes. When I moved to
Keeps
Nashville,
chasing
or
you. Yeah.
Like
When
when
you
you like
came
got
back.
into, yeah, I came back and like got into the, like started jumping into the comedy scene and everything.
so I moved back, I think, in 2015, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
2015. And I found LOL Nashville, which
What
was
is
a
that?
group that is an improv group that was run by the owner of Third Coast Comedy Club back in the
Okay.
day.
Oh.
Third Coast was a thing.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, wow, there's improv in Nashville. So I messaged their website and I was like, hey, I used to do improv. I'd love to like audition. And I auditioned and I got in.
Yeah.
And so then I was like immediately doing improv in Nashville. And it was so fun because it wasn't terrible. I was really expecting it to be shit,
Sure. Yeah.
improv in Nashville.
I saw
And
improv in
it,
Asheville once, and it was pretty hard.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, bad improv makes me want to fucking
Oh,
kill
it's so
myself.
it
bad.
is. It
Uh,
is. It is different. It's a different
yeah,
bomb.
A different bad. Yeah.
It's a very
The
because it's
worst
different
bad.
seven.
bad.
It's like a group of people collectively doing it together, and you're like, oh, this is
Yeah, it immediately makes me hate the person. I have no
yeah. You
empathy.
you have to like sometimes
I
remind
really
yourself, you're like,
don't. And
I'm
I
here
had to
supporting my
stop thinking,
friend. Yeah,
not my friend no more. No,
yeah,
no.
exactly. Yeah, you deleting their number while they're on stage,
That,
blocking them.
that improv does something to me, man. I think because
Yeah,
I've seen so much of it, my brain is done.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
why I can't sit through what you know how people get excited for a first time bomb. I'm like, I leave the room. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. Like I've seen
Yeah.
too much. My brain is like, get out of the room now.
Mine's more like I can watch it as long as I'm not going to have to be responsible for getting this person's mental health back in order
They
after the
come
bomb.
immediately talk to you like, what went wrong?
Yeah, because there's a couple like younger comics that would do that, and I was like, I don't know how to tell you this. You just get used to doing this. Like, it's not going to be the first. It's like this is the first time it's happening to you. It is not going to be the last. It's not going to be the last time for any of us in this room right now. But they just don't have the psychology behind it yet because they've only done it like once or twice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ugh.
But I'll
Yeah.
watch a bomb. I'll watch a bomb.
I
I'll
can't do
watch
it,
a
man.
bomb.
I can't do it.
I'll watch a bomb, yeah, but not an improv bomb. Oof.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Neither D, none of the above for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So where were you guys doing improv then if there wasn't Third Coast? Was there another club in town or?
No, music venues. So we were doing it like
Oh wow.
the basement east. We were doing it at Third and Lindsley. Like,
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
there was
amazing.
another place. So just random places,
Yeah.
just doing improv, which was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think 2 or 3, maybe 3 years into doing it, Luke opened Third Coast Comedy Club.
Okay.
And I think that, I don't think Third Coast gets a lot of credit for creating the comedy community that it has. But
Yeah,
like
I
even
agree
with
with that.
stand-ups, like I don't think people would have gotten together as much if it wasn't for, I'm really grateful
No,
for that space.
I'm very grateful to Third Coast. You know that it's been the home of my show since I got here. And they've
Yeah.
made me feel at home from day one. So yeah, I will always be a Third Coast fan for sure.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
yeah.
I've had my ups and downs with Third Coast. I've had some fucked up shit happen to me there.
Oh no,
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
But I am a big fan.
I
So
feel
Yeah,
like it does. I feel like it follows improv sometimes. The
yeah, I mean
not
after
that stand up's hands are clean whatsoever, but
I think
especially in North Carolina, improv had such a bad rep because a couple of improv theaters closed down because of some shady happenings.
yeah, I was like, what's his name at UCB in New York back in like 2018, 2019. Like that
Yeah.
was all improv stuff. And you're like, what the fuck is
We
going
had
on over there?
this one building was cursed. This one building held one improv company that folded because the owner did some things, and then the one that moved in folded because the owner
Yeah.
did some things.
It's very real. It's a very real thing.
Yep. I do think though Third Coast, like to your point, doesn't get as much credit as it deserves because it does like the more I look at it, it is kind of it's like the common ground for because like comedy is very clicky and you have your different groups and your different styles and that kind of stuff. But I do feel like Third Coast is kind of the common ground where like everyone comes there together,
You
whether
do
it's for
see
like
lineups that you would never see anywhere else. Yeah.
that's what I mean. And then like Roast the Host is just kind of a hodgepodge and like that kind of stuff. So it is sort of like, well, I know these 5 people don't like each other, but everyone comes together at that night,
Yeah.
So it does
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Absolutely.
did you ever come across a guy named Phil Rothermich?
Yeah, yeah. Phil was in the main stage with me at Third Coast. Phil, he lives in
Yeah.
Alabama. Or yeah.
Yeah, so Phil and I actually met in New York. I've asked so many people in Nashville about him, and it's always they're like, because like not everyone does improv and sketch, so like most stand-ups don't know him. but he moved to New York around the same time I did, and I got off stage at the Stand, and he's there with his mom and dad for his birthday, and he just comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, I loved your set. I don't have any friends. You want to be my friend?" And we just were like friends for like a year or two, and then he moved. I got him like a couple PA jobs when I could, and then he ended up moving back to Nashville, I believe.
Yeah, he
He
lived
like
here
won
for
The
a
Price
while.
is Right.
Yeah, he won The Price is Right.
Yeah.
His wife Hannah is Matt Taylor's cousin.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Because I never met her because it was all
Yeah.
that all happened over here.
Yeah,
That's
they're great.
hilarious.
Such a
Yeah, I still follow him on
small world.
Instagram. And I'm like, oh, his like whole life turned
Changed.
around when he
Yeah,
left
yeah,
New
yeah.
York. Yeah. Yeah, he was great. I always liked him. He
Yeah.
also was like known for his concussions.
Oh, nice.
Did he ever tell you about this?
I'm known for your concussion.
He like, well, because he would talk about it on stage all the time, but he went to I believe he went to Alabama and played lacrosse, played D1 lacrosse at Alabama.
Oh,
did, yeah.
jeez.
And he's like, I mean, he's like built like me. He's a skinny guy. So, but he was apparently very athletic, very talented. But he like had like 3 or 4 concussions in college, and so he like tried to work material out about it. But like he has a concussion, so he's like loses train of thought in the middle of the middle of the joke. You know?
Is three or
That's
four?
fucking hilarious.
Is 3 or 4 a bad? Is that a bad number?
Yeah,
I will
that's
attest to
right.
that. People don't like talking about the CTE jokes. Like they got to be
Yeah,
next level for people to laugh at them,
yeah, yeah.
which
Sure.
is nice because it's no laughing matter. You know, it's good.
Thanks for the TED Talk, Drew.
The more you know. So you're doing improv. What got
Yeah.
you on the stand-up stage?
So I saw a show at Third Coast and I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could try it. And then I wrote a joke about how my mom always, whenever I talked to her, she would tell me that everybody had died, that like people I didn't know.
Oh
She'd
my God.
always be like, well, they died. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know this person. So I wrote that. It was like my first joke, and I did it at Roast the Host. And I didn't bomb.
Who was the
Right.
host back then?
I don't remember.
Nice.
I don't remember, but I do remember Brad Sativa, didn't know who I was, and he was like, "You're funny."
Nice.
And that's the first and probably the only time he has ever told me that. And
I
he'll
mean, that's a
never
good
tell me that
first.
again.
That's a good first impression, though. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you got it, though. That's nice.
So, and then I was like, okay, like I'll keep doing this then. And I did, and I found it to be so challenging and different because improv now, I have been doing it for so long that it is fairly easy for me. Now it's just a fun thing that I do. And with stand up, it is dramatic and it's stressful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It is exhilarating. It was exhausting, and it's just so challenging that I have to continue doing it.
That's good.
And I think that's something that's always interested me about this scene is like coming from New York, you could not see the same faces every night if you didn't want to, right? Like you could bop around, you could try a new bit in 3 or 4 different rooms, and it wouldn't be the same group. That is probably one of the biggest challenges here to work on new material is we all know each other, we all see each other all the time. And so you do one bit once, it gets the pop that you want it to, and now you're like, okay, I want to work on this more. But you do it again, and everyone's like, yeah, we already heard it. And you get nothing. And so you have to wait till you get in the road. And then you're
that's
like,
all
oh,
you know. Coming up in the South, that's all you know.
Yeah.
Your open mics are the same people.
Yeah.
You leave one open. If you're blessed to be in a scene with 2 open mics a night, you leave that open mic with the same people to go to the same open mic. And on going to it, you're like, y'all know I'm going to do the same jokes, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
That was the thing with the other thing though, like in New York, we used to like envy going to an open mic in another scene because sometimes they had an actual audience and you would be like, oh, this is amazing. Like I got to move to Philadelphia tomorrow, and then,
or if you can even make comics from a different scene laugh, you're like, oh, I got something.
Yeah. It's just we're all just chasing that high,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
When you were drinking, were you performing while drinking? Like, were you drinking when you were doing improv when you first
Doing
started?
improv. Yeah, I never drank when I did stand up. I've always been
Yeah.
sober.
How do you
Um,
feel that? How do you feel the different? Like, do you miss the being a little buzzed performing? Like, what?
I would say, yeah, because when I drank, I immediately, when I drank, two very different people. And also when I drank, I don't know if other people get this feeling, but for alcoholics, I felt high and so good and so elated and so happy to be alive and so confident.
Mhm.
And so then I would chase that until I became too drunk that I didn't remember the shows. But like
Yeah.
I do miss the being able to hang before and after
Yeah.
shows. The social
Yeah.
aspect of drinking for me was huge, and now I don't have that. So that's been like a also the relationship aspect of hanging out with comics is like
Yeah.
I don't know how to connect with comics because I don't do well with just surface conversation.
Yeah.
I'm more
Yeah.
like, what happened? What's going on this week?
Yeah.
What are you struggling with? Or like
Yeah.
Tell me your life story right now.
instead of
Yeah.
just the basic shit, I really struggle with just conversation.
Like
And I
this
know that
weather.
I
Am I right?
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I miss the camaraderie
Yeah.
that alcohol gave me, but
Yeah.
it also gave me a lot of pain
For
and
sure.
sadness and
Yeah.
scared me, because I would do things that were I put myself in very
Yeah.
unsafe situations, embarrassed myself, said things to people that were just mean and
Yeah.
nasty.
That's what I miss is I don't miss drinking at all until after that show when everyone's like, all right, what's next? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, I am
and
so
I
tired.
and I love it. I love the fact that I'm going home because as soon as I get in my comfy clothes and I'm on my couch, I'm in heaven. But
Yeah.
I have that little bit of FOMO in the back of my head where I'm like, what connection did I miss out on making?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I
Sure.
I went to Bonnaroo with a bunch of comics to do.
Oh, you're a part of that?
I was,
I've
and
always been so jealous of that. It always looks so
Same.
cool. Yeah.
it was wonderful, and I was honored to be asked because I felt like, oh my gosh,
I'm
they
in the
like
group.
me,
Yeah.
You're
but
Bonnaroo.
I
Yeah.
couldn't hang.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And
I just realized what Bonnaroo is. It's just drugs and
it's
drinking for
drug.
7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I didn't do a good job because I couldn't
Yeah.
hang, I just it is what it is,
Yeah.
but I have to also understand that like that I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have shit in common with those people anyway,
Yeah,
as much
exactly. Yeah, like what are you
as much as
Yeah.
I respect them,
I
Right.
I don't even know if I could do the whole bar talk anymore, like cuz I don't care about those same thing like I don't, like I
Yeah.
don't
That's
don't
sort of something I've learned the last year. Cause like, so the first year I was here, I had to get to know everybody all at once, right? Cause like everything was
Yeah,
opening
same.
back up, shows were coming back, like all this stuff. So I had to just meet everybody. So it was just drinking for a year straight, like, just hanging out and drinking for a year straight. And then my most recent girlfriend, she doesn't really drink much. So I had to like cut back and like wasn't going out as much, wasn't doing as much stand up. And now that I'm like kind of back into it, I've like learned how to just get out of conversations I don't want to be in. And that is just, oh, it is a game changer.
Nothing's
Like
worse
literally
being
just,
trapped in a two drunks in a conversation just on
well, I
loop.
just,
their
right.
breath, their stinky fucking hot
Oh, just
breath.
write this each
Well, or just
other.
even like conversations you don't want to hear, And I used to think like, I have to stay in this green room. I have to meet everybody. I have to know all these people. And like recently, I'm just like, this sucks. I'm gonna go watch the show or just like take a
I'm
lap
out.
somewhere or something, Or like I had a guy, he was an audience member that wanted to talk to me about starting comedy. And I always try and be nice about that kind of thing because it's like, but everyone wants to try and start comedy these days. And so I talked to him for 5 minutes and finally just went, okay. I'm going back to talk to my friends now. It was nice meeting you. I told you like where to go to try and find an open mic.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll see you there, and I'm happy to answer questions there. But like, I didn't come here to hang out with friends to talk to you about what an open mic is like, you know.
Yeah.
But that's my new skill: is getting out of conversations I want to have.
Well, that's my new skill. Not drinking is not being in situations I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
I'll try because they got the Delta 8 drinks. So I try to hang out and drink like the high seltzers and things like that. Like I'm trying to test out the mocktail world.
Yeah.
You know, like because that's my whole thing is I don't know what to do with my hands, and I don't want to drink 12 Cokes at 9 o'clock at night. You know, so
Yeah. No,
just,
I know. I don't
weird.
smoke cigarettes anymore, so I like definitely am not gonna hang out. But I mean, not drinking and doing stand up since I've always done it has been okay, except for, you feel everything. And I think I overanalyze too much, and I don't have that drink to relax me. I mean, I have a joke about it,
Yeah,
to calm me down.
I do love that joke.
It's hard to
I feel
relax.
that sometimes since I quit drinking as well. Because I
Yeah.
would always have that one day a week I just blew off everything, and I'd get borderline blackout,
Mhm.
and that would be therapy for the week.
Mhm. Yeah.
But at least like despite losing, I guess like the edge, sort of, so to speak, like where you just kind of take that off. At least like you're present enough at all times to know exactly what happened when you were on stage. So like if a joke didn't go the right way, you can go, okay, this is what I said, here's what I did, and then like there's times where you go,
You are very
I crushed,
present
but
in
I
the
don't
moment.
remember what that joke
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Sometimes, I think I feel like it's the blind leading the blind. I don't feel confident that if I asked somebody like what happened, that they would actually be honest with me. But I am the type of person who's like, I can take it. Like I will take what you have to say and I will get better from it. So a lot of times I'm like, was that bad? Was that not bad? Because people's are like, oh, it's always worse than what you think. Like, or I mean, not worse. That's me.
It's not as bad as
Not as,
yeah.
Because I'm always thinking the worst, and so I don't fucking know.
That's my least favorite thing about when I overanalyze things is I get off stage and everyone's like, "That was good." I was like, "It was okay."
Yeah, like Drew,
was it?
Yeah, like Drew and I had a show last night, and like Drew's sets were both amazing. I was fine with my sets, but it was a rougher room to be a part of, and like collectively as a group, we just all kind of reminded each other like until you get to a certain point, you don't know who's in the audience, you don't know what their taste is, you don't know what their background is. So like getting one person to laugh out of 20 isn't great, but at least you're making like that person a fan, and I try and remember that on a bomb.
I got one like, I got one follower from last night, and I'm taking
I got one.
That's a win. That's
a
new fan.
That's a hard win.
That's a new fan.
Yeah. I just my body tenses up, so then I have that feeling carrying it with me and literally trying to relax my body as I'm telling my set, like trying to calm myself, which is like that's gonna a process. But I do a lot of shit outside of, I mean, I get massages constantly too.
You're talking about you were hiking earlier. That's got to be therapeutic to an extent.
Yes, I try to do things because I have a physical reaction to whether it's a bomb or not. I have a physical reaction to not feeling like I'm doing well on stage.
I got you.
And it's apparent, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I might be a little similar in that way. And that, do you also feel like I definitely react to energy? So like I can do the set and do well with a low energy crowd, but I don't have that. I see some comics that they just have this extra battery in them that they can just stay high energy all the time or whatever it is. And like I really can't gear my set to a certain level unless the audience is also there. So like if I come in they're low energy, I'm probably going to be low energy, but if they're high energy, I'm going to try and match their energy with them.
I don't think that is an issue for me. I
Okay.
don't think because I, for the most part, am a little bit higher energy, but I
Hmm.
host a lot,
Yeah.
so
You
yeah,
kind of have to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I have to be, which is as much as I know hosting is a skill. Everyone's like, "You're so good at it." I'm like, "Let me do something else."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
get
I'm
that.
ready
Yeah,
to
yeah.
not do this that much.
Yeah. Can
I
I
hate
clean close the
hosting.
show, please?
I
Yeah.
I
it's
despise it.
hosting fucking is work. It's work,
Yeah.
work, 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 which is
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
and it is part of it. And I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah. There's some nights where the host deserves to be paid the most out of anybody.
Oh my God.
I agree
There's
Yeah.
that
actually most nights the host deserves to be paid.
I
me and
used to
my
pay, yeah. Sorry.
no, me and my friend, we run a show where we pay the host the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They do the
Like
most work, and they
when,
do the least amount of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But we would make money. Like if we had a good night on like, hey, it's a comedy show, I would always try and pay the host as much as the headliner if I could, because it was like, because the way I also operated was like, I have to produce. I really can't be in the room. I have to like get these tickets, do all this stuff. And so I would just be like,
Like
you
you
have to
got to
kind of,
run this.
you got to run this. And,
Yeah.
and that's not really what they signed up for, but like I tried to compensate them for them when I could,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
could, when
It
there's no
feels
one there. It's
yeah.
like,
There's no money in comedy.
it's like, well, it's not that hard to run a show when there's no audience,
Yeah. That's the best.
Well, gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's been some rough ones, but I don't know. But and I guess like in my mind, the great shows will always smother the ones where you're like, this was truly terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
you're
ride a
right.
great show longer than you takes for you to get over a bad show now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
I featured for Kevin James Thornton last month at Zany's, and I was able to do 20 minutes on Zany's stage.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of myself
That's
because
Yeah,
awesome.
great.
it was a great set.
Yeah.
I did well, and it just felt so good. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is like, I keep gauging. I'm like, every show is up and down, and
yeah,
there is a little bit of consistency, but the consistency is that sometimes it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's always different. I'm featuring or I'm hosting it, and that definitely is a different. They're fucking. It's
Two
just different.
different beasts.
I feel, and I hope that like I don't know. I don't want to be like people watching to be like, no, you're just making an excuse, but it feels different.
It's different.
Yeah. Well, and I think like with hosting, I mean, at least it's a problem that I have is like sometimes I prefer to host than feature because when I'm hosting, I get in the mindset of like the show is about everyone else and not you.
Yes,
And when I
absolutely.
am, yeah, and when I'm featuring because I'm doing like 20 minutes and I do headline, I get into that
To be
like
about me.
yeah, you get settled in, and all of a sudden you start like making it not making it about you, but like you forget that this show is not yours. You're just opening for somebody, and so you get settled, you get goofy, and you do all this stuff, and then it's like I almost prefer hosting because I'm just like doing the job, keeping everyone happy, get the next person up here,
Yeah. I just feature is that sweet spot, man.
But it's
Totally.
The
but 20 is
Totally.
the
perfect.
pressure's not
Yeah,
on you. You don't have to be first out there.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and 20 bombing. It feels nothing close to 45 minutes bombing.
Yeah.
Like if you're bombing a feature set, you're at least like, all right, I got 10 minutes left. I can get through this. But like headline, you're like, oh, I
as
got 40 more minutes.
as a feature, when you know the crowd, like the crowd wasn't there for the host, the crowd wasn't there as a feature, and as you're getting
Yeah.
off stage and the headliner's walking up, and just that look on their face of
Yeah. We
like,
did
here we go.
I had that show in Knoxville a couple months ago where I was filling in last minute as a feature, and the room is great. It's a great room, but the person before me did 20 minutes of silence, like not one laugh, and I was like, what is happening here? And so I thought, I'm like, but I was feeling good about myself. I was like, you know what? I usually can like get a crowd back. Like, I think I'll be okay. And the first 8 minutes is just silent. And I was like, this is work. And then I just made like an offhand comment about my dad, and everyone got back into the show. And I was like, oh, weird, but okay. And then the rest of the show was great. Like the headliner did great. I've
You
enjoyed
hit
the rest of my
data
set,
issue
but
button. Nice.
God, yeah, like you hit that one moment where you're like, is this going to be like this the whole time?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
awful.
Well, Allison, what projects you got? What you got coming up? You want to talk about real quick?
Let's see. I would just like people to follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a lot of
Yeah.
shows out of town, and so I'm gonna be at the Laugh Factory the week of the 18th in Chicago all week,
That's
and
awesome.
I'll be in Milwaukee next week, and
Yeah.
featuring for Allie Clayton, and
Or,
then
is that at the Laughing Tap?
yes,
That's
yeah, have you
awesome.
done stuff there?
No, it's on the goal, like the go hashtag goals list. you know?
Yeah, I really like that venue. I did the Milwaukee Comedy Festival in like 2020.
Oh, nice.
And I really enjoyed that venue. And Milwaukee's fun.
Yeah. I
It's
hear
a
nothing but good things.
Heard it's a
yeah,
great comedy town. Yeah, I've never been up.
I hear it's
totally.
just
And
a fun town in general.
Oh, Madison, yeah.
Madison, Wisconsin reminds me of there's three cities that I think are this is like totally off topic, but there's three
No.
cities I think have the best comics: Nashville, Cincinnati, and Madison, Wisconsin.
Huh.
And because I've been to so
I get to
many
go to
different.
Cincinnati in December. I'm excited.
Oh God, yes. Okay, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Just super talented people and great comedy scenes, I think.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I heard like a lot of like major headliners try and record their special in Madison because they just said like it's just a different breed of audience. Like they're so good.
What is it? What's the club?
Comedy on State is a
Comedy
fucking
on Stage.
immaculate.
Oh, I see them every.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see their posters all the time.
It's
That's awesome.
beautiful.
I always wondered. I was like, where are they located? Okay, nice.
It's gorgeous.
They
It's
got some great names coming through. That's awesome.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Well, where can everybody follow you at?
They can follow me on Instagram at Allison Summers Insti. So ALLISONSUMMERSINSTI. And
I had like a Mickey Mouse to.
yeah. But I make films and stuff, and I post stuff on my story. So I am a filmmaker. So I
That's
have
awesome.
a film coming out that
Yeah.
I did not create, but I was in that we shot in August. So I've got a short coming out.
That's
So
awesome. You just
yeah,
always have such good production value with all that stuff you put out. So I
thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Of course. It was such a
enjoyed
great story.
I
Yeah.
don't get to talk to y'all that much, so it's always very nice.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
both dip out. We both like, well, we got to go home.
Yeah. Well, it's always just, and you're usually hosting when I see it, like you said. So it's just like, all right, I gotta get up there.
Yeah, I'm not when I'm not interested in. I just brain.
Got to do the job.
Yeah.
I come in like just covered in blood, and you're like, we don't have time for this.
Will,
No,
what
why'd
do
you
you
bring
do?
this in here?
Yeah. You wore the fringe jacket again?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I haven't. I've been good about it.
good. Keep it.
But don't
in the closet,
worry.
buddy.
Single Will's bringing it back, baby.
Oh no.
It's about to be a menace.
Please grow a mullet. Grow a mullet. Do it.
If my hair grows back, I will grow a mullet.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Allison, thank you so much. Will,
Thank
you got
you for having
anything?
me.
Of course. Thank you
course.
for being here. Will, what you got coming up?
Drew, as you know,
You didn't prepare.
we got
for
some
this?
fun stuff coming up. What do we got coming up, Drew?
Your
September
album's
28th.
coming out there, buddy.
September 28th, my first special, Alive and Well's coming out on
Wow.
4x3 Productions on YouTube. But we'll
Look
talk
at
about
you.
about that more later. But
Yeah.
put it on the radar, put it on the calendar.
Put it on the calendar.
And I'm putting together a release, like a viewing the night before, so I can like show my friends, and I want to say family. I doubt they'll be there, but I could show everyone and we can kind of get it hyped up. And I'm working on that now, so hopefully I'll have more details the next time we have an episode.
Awesome.
Cool.
What do you got coming up, Drew?
I will be headlining Brewers Kettle in Kernersville, North Carolina, Saturday,
Kerner.
September 16th. I will be doing Stand Up to Hunger in Newton, North Carolina.
Oh my goodness.
Tuesday, September 19th with my buddy Jesse Jones. Then I'm back in Nashville for some shows to round out September. But follow me on Laugh with Harrison on Instagram. Hit subscribe to Project Nerd. Catch all their great content. We thank them so much for letting us be a part of their family. Definitely follow Allison and check out all of her great projects. And tune in. We'll see you next time.
My funny friends, my funny friends, my funny, funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funny, funky friends now.
Did Project Nerd make that?